sheds the first defender, sheds the second defender.
Busted open. Jack Smith down the right sideline and into the end zone.
There's a chill in the air, Jason Andera. That means we're getting close to playoff time. Welcome to Varsity Sports Live. As I mentioned, that is television's Jason Andera. I'm David Brown, Jody Norstead in a little bit. I want to start the show with some breaking news. I don't know if you've heard this. Sioux Falls Lincoln's pretty good.
Yeah, they're pretty good. I'll tell you what, they set records tonight. Tate Schaefer set a school record for career passing yards. Jack Smith set several records. I think he's still scoring touchdowns. I can't wait to check them out. They have just been absolutely unbelievably good this year.
Yeah, they're putting up a lot of points as we get a look at our scoreboard. 55-13 was the final. We thought this would be a test against Brandon Valley, and Lincoln passes the test with flying colors. O'Gorman over Sioux Falls, Washington, that game on Thursday, 45-0 the final out at Howard Wood. The game tonight, bit of a weird one. Sioux Falls Jefferson, only 14 points, but they shut out Rapid City Stevens. Harrisburg all over Rapid City Central out west 75-7. We thought this might happen. Yankton, AA number 2 over Sioux Falls Roosevelt, 27-14.
Jackson Graven good back for Roosevelt. That's a good team that Yankton beat, but again, opportunistic with the turnovers. That was the difference. We'll have some highlights of that one coming up.
Pierre bounces back from their loss to Brandon Valley with a shutout win over Huron. They scored 47 unanswered points in a 62-13 rout of Spearfish.
They were losing.
Yeah, exactly. And 42-7 Watertown over Mitchell tonight. Aberdeen Central, a shutout of Brookings, 13-0 Del Rapids. That was the halftime score. Second half, basically a running clock. 53-7 over Chamberlain. Winner, number 1 in 11B over West Central, number 2 in 11A in Hartford.
Very interesting. I can't wait to break this one down. We've got highlights and reaction from the Winter Warriors, who are back. They want to officially say we are back.
And the Seahawks over the Tanagers, 42-13. The running backs for Canton doing some business.
Yeah, one especially, Kane Wallner himself going over 300 yards rushing. That's the first report I heard. I'll have to verify that, but what a night for Kane Wallner.
More scores. Sioux Falls Christian, 34-7. Boy, they have bounced back from that 0-2 start in a big way. This may be the upset of the night. Lennox, we talked about their high-powered offense. They fall to winless Madison. Congrats to the Bulldogs. We said they were still a tough team, but this is a shocker.
Madison came out, had a different quarterback out tonight. I don't know what happened there, if there was an injury, but he was electric. Cohen Hahn ended up completing 17 passes for 178 yards. They did a halfback pass to score. They got up 14-0 and held off Lennox in the second half. I think Lennox might have been looking ahead to West Central next week a little bit.
A little bit. 14-8. The Orioles fall tonight. Hot Springs over Rapid City Christian. That's a good matchup between a couple of one-loss teams. 23-13 the final there. Elk Point scored all 24 of their points in the second half. We're going to have highlights of this one, but they overcome a 14-point road deficit, Jason.
This was interesting because I thought Tri-Valley might be one of those teams that really could assert themselves with a quality win here. Elk Point Jefferson does their job. We'll have highlights of that coming up.
But of course, Parkson, moving on the 9-man, Parkson 50-0 over Bonham. Warner, a big shutout win over Esteline Hendricks.
Just got to mention on Parkston, I looked it up. They have 6 shutouts now this year, and in their last 7 games, they've given up a total of 6 points. So defensively,
less than a point a game.
Congratulations, Parkston Trojans. You guys are doing something right.
And Warner continues to do well in 9A. They win 46-0. Corsica Stickney, a squeaker over Freeman Marion Freeman Academy, 14-12.
That's huge for Class 9B to get a win against a quality 9AA team.
Yep.
Things are ramping up in all these 9-man classes.
And then DeSmet, 46-0 in a top 5 showdown in 9B. Falkton has kind of been the consensus one in 9B for a while, but DeSmet, a big win tonight.
I'll tell you what, that's a signature win when you can end the game in the third quarter with a lead against a team who is a defending champ, playing well this year, that was ranked. That's a big win for the Bulldogs.
Big wins all around tonight, probably none bigger and more eye-opening than Sioux Falls Lincoln and Brandon Valley, 1 versus 5 in 11 AAA. This is going to be a common refrain, so get used to it. First drive, Tate Schaefer to Jack Smith.
Yeah, look at him. He sheds the first defender, finds a way. There's the Jack Smith TD counter.
Ooh, we got a special graphic just for this game.
And that's going to keep moving up. The second drive of the game, Jack Smith does it again and gets into the end zone. You're right, this is a theme.
Later in the first quarter, Schaefer on the run again to Jack Smith again.
Yeah, and this time, how does he get that open? Well, it's a great connection, and Schaefer bought some time. Brandon Valley tried to close this thing up early with their sophomore running back, Levi Veskerna.
Yeah, he runs it in, PAT no good, but that cuts the Lincoln lead to 21-6. But Lincoln responds right back. Tate Schaefer 2. Isaac Jarofsky?
Yeah, Isaac
Hey,
Jarofsky.
he's pretty good too.
Yeah, they got plenty of good receivers.
But we couldn't stray too far from the Jack Smith show, especially when he makes grabs like that.
Look at this replay. One-handed in the end zone, holds on. He set the 11 AAA record with 4 touchdowns in a game last year. Well, he tied that in the first half.
Veskerna tries to keep the Lynx in it. That's the first drive of the second half, 34-13. But the ensuing kickoff, guess who?
Yeah, and I wasn't rolling. Anytime he touches the ball, you got to be rolling, Jason.
And then, for good measure, another receiving touchdown. 5 through the air, 1 on special teams, 6 touchdowns for Jack Smith tonight. And Tate Schaefer becomes Lincoln's all-time leading passer in a 55-13 win.
Just before we get to listening to Jack Smith, he had 5 receiving touchdowns on this game. It was a record in the record book that's kept by the Coaches Association, but we just got informed that Rylan Satter also had a 5-touchdown game last year. So, O'Gorman people, we know that, so we tied that record. But huge game for Jack Smith. I caught up with him after the game and just, had to get the reaction from Superman himself.
How they were guarding me, I think they had a man on me, one over top. But I think overall, they were man most of the time, maybe cover 3, but I mean, we found ways to get around it and it worked. Kind of after that 3rd touchdown, I mean, everything just kind of ramped up. We started stopping them on defense, and I mean, we were just getting every little thing, every little pass from Tate to me, and I mean, it was just all working. So.
Yeah, that connection is pretty special. By the way, Jack Smith had a record last year when he had, 22 receptions in a game? So, I mean,
yeah.
He's going to fill the record books one way or another.
He's got, most receptions in a game, most yards in a season, most yards in a game.
Tied touchdowns in a game.
School record now for yardage. Tied, he's all over the record books. And, after the game, Jared Fredenberg said he's a video game just waiting to happen. And he said he can't wait to see what he can do at the next level at SDSU because he's probably not going to be redshirting with that much talent.
No siree. Madden-like numbers, as you said, from Jack Smith tonight in a big win for Lincoln. On Thursday night, windy at Howard Wood Field. O'Gorman visiting Washington. Lots of sun, lots of wind. And because of that, the Knights are going to keep it on the ground the entire opening drive. Watch Maverick Jones say, "Move, get out the way."
He is dismissive to the defensive backs.
Then Rylan Satter, head on, apply directly to the forehead, 11-yard touchdown.
My goodness. You come out that physical, you're sending a message, and the Knights did that.
7-0 OG. Washington tries to take advantage with the wind at its back, but some QB on QB crime as Hayden Gross gets the pick. And then a little swing here to Jace Teesey.
Yeah, bring in your sophomore. They've got so many weapons. They add another one in Jace Teesey, who's had a tremendous year, returning kicks, and now adds a little offensive spice to his stats.
69-yard pitch and catch. Nice little one-play drive. 14-0 Knights. Later in the second, little trickeration. How did Sullivan Schlingen get that ball?
I literally didn't see it happen, and neither did the Warriors defense. Sully goes in for a touchdown.
21-0 at that point. O'Gorman would pile it on from there. 45-0 is your final score. They outgained the Warriors 431-159, and the Knights are 6-1.
And a big theme of that game, 5 interceptions. The O'Gorman defense really took advantage of that and ran the running clock all the way to a shutout.
45-0 the final on Thursday. Let's check out Friday's matchup at Howard Wood Field. Rapid City Stevens visiting Sioux Falls Jefferson. This was only a 7-0 game at halftime, Jandy, but in the third, Cavs get a drive going. Thomas Heiberger at QB finds Ed Whiting. He rumbles into the Raider red zone.
Look at that. He didn't have any catches coming into the game, so get Edward Whiting. And you're right, Heiberger came in the second half. Swenson played the first half, but they had to get something going.
And that was to Dawson Sexer, and then Sexer takes it himself on the direct snap. 14-0 Jefferson, just Another kind of weird game for the Cavs. We've talked about how Heiberger and Sexer have kind of been preserved only when they really need them on offense. Raiders had some opportunities in the second half, but the defense, they pitch another shutout, but the offense now for Jefferson has scored just 21 points in the last 2 games.
That's got to be concerning for Vince Benedetto. I know they're trying some new things. They brought the sophomore Whiting up. You saw Heiberger taking snaps, Sexerson getting in there. It's a big challenge for them to put points on the board, and next week against Brandon Valley, they're going to need some.
And that game will be live, by the way, next week right here on Midco Sports. Cross-class matchup. Sioux Falls Roosevelt from 11 AAA, traveling the number 2 Yankton in AA. First quarter, Evan Sirk starts fast, stays fast.
This guy is so tough to tackle, and Roosevelt found out he's a slippery little water bug.
Back come the Rough Riders. This is a sight we've been waiting to see more of. Jackson Brower, Jackson Gravengood, Jackson the Jackson connection.
Yeah, we haven't seen that hardly at all this year. The one game that they won earlier, that was the connection, and now they get him back.
But Yankton, as they've done all year, stays the course, stays on the ground. Lucas Kampshoff, great fake on the QB keeper. Bucks are up 14-7. Roosevelt trying to equalize again, but Brower fumbles. Yankton recovers, and they would take advantage with Kampshoff again.
Kampshoff's a tough runner. Look at him. He can pass the ball. We know he can gun it, but he gets those tough yards around the goal line. Yankton took advantage of the turnovers in this game, and Tucker Gilmore was one of those guys who had a couple of them.
Yeah, Brower just throws up a 500 ball. Gilmore with a pick in the end zone. And then the Bucks would tack on more points to end the half. Josue Trujillo Melgoza with the field goal, 24-7 Yankton at the break.
Do you practice that name?
I did practice that name. I want to make sure I try and get it as close as possible. Brower keeps it on the ground. He tries to keep Roosevelt in it in the second half. That cut it to 24-14. But another field goal would make our final 27-14 is the final score. And we discussed this. Yankton being the second best team in 11 AA. Roosevelt kind of having an off year in AAA. We thought this could happen.
They put up a great game against a really good Roosevelt team. I'm telling you, Roosevelt's record is deceiving. They're going to still find a way to compete in these next couple of weeks. Trust me on that. And Yankton, 400 yards of total offense, and those 2 big interceptions by Tucker Gilmore were the difference.
27-14 over Sioux Falls Roosevelt. Another cross-class matchup in Hartford tonight. Winner, number 1 in 11B against West Central, number 2 in 11A. Trojans on the move, first drive of the game, but Jesse Jost gets hit by Zach Olson. Stratton Morehart falls on the loose ball, and Winner would take over, and they would capitalize on the ensuing drive. Morehart finishes what he started, 6-0 Warriors.
Yeah, this is a team that loves to run between the tackles. 71 plays on this game. I think 70 of them went between the tackles. They didn't throw one pass.
Aiden Barfus up the middle. West Central goes to the break. A little shell shock, down 14-0. Third quarter, the pitch to Barfus this time. Plenty of space on the right side.
There's the one outside the tackle. See, it works once in a while.
21-0 Warriors on the ensuing kickoff. We always say these are live balls. Zach Olson hustles down, recovers essentially with a pooch kick. And then the Aiden Barfus show would continue. Another tough run up the middle for his 3rd rushing touchdown.
Yeah, Barfus, he's not going to electrify you with the numbers, but he's such a tough runner, and he's so hard to take down when you get near the goal line.
And then just for good measure, Barfus, he plays a little defense too, gets the pick here. Quite a night for number 18 and quite a night for the Winner Warriors. They shut out West Central at their place 28-0.
This is one of the more surprising games of the night because Winner was so physical. Now, should we be surprised that Winner's that physical? Probably not, but they showed it for the first time in a big situation, and after the game, we caught up with a few Winner Warriors, victorious Winner Warriors.
Oh, we did great. We had probably 80 plays on offense, and we drove it down right down the middle every time. We didn't have a single play that went over 20 yards, and that's what got us to win right there. We just grinded and never stopped. All those touchdowns, credit to the offensive linemen. They did a great job at blocking today up front. All we had to do is follow those leads and those blocks, and it was easy from there.
This is hot. This is big, but we don't want to get our heads too high and think no one can beat us, but this is definitely big and boosts our confidence. Our defense is great. Obviously a 0 on the board, and that sack, I just kind of got around the tackle, and he's right there and chased him down for a big sack.
I just want to let Aiden Barfus know it's okay. You can say hell of a job.
It's a
hell of a job.
Great game. But Sean Hammerbeck had a great game too, and he's just a junior, and he's one of those guys up front that has really taken another step into the next level. And you can just see this winter team is getting really dangerous this part of the year.
And to think back, we've talked about it before, that 8-0 double overtime win over Tri-Valley to start the season. We were wondering, like, are there some struggles here? But that clearly was an outlier. They just needed a game or two to get going.
Even last week, even the difference between last week and this week, big difference for Winter, what they did against Bridgewater Emery and what they did against West Central. Interesting little fact here, a little factoid. 7 wins this year for Winter. Guess how many passes they've thrown on the year, David?
I'm going to guess less than 7.
5.
Yeah, I got it.
Very good, David.
See?
5 passes and 7 wins. Who does that? The Winter Warriors do.
The Winter Warriors do. That's why they always win. No pun intended. But the Winter Warriors, 28-0 over West Central tonight. More highlights in South Dakota. Number 3 T area out west tonight in the Black Hills taking on Spearfish. No score in the first quarter. Spartans punting. Ethan Viss is going to take it off the bounce and find some space down the right side into the red zone.
Yeah, Ethan Viss has been one of their dangerous players. They need more big plays like this, but Viss has been doing this consistently this year.
And the Titans would capitalize. Boy, Brenner Conrad's had a great season. 7-0 Titans.
Yeah, he's getting more consistent. Doesn't have to pass a lot, but tonight 4 rushing touchdowns for him.
Later in the first, Hunter Walters, his best Beyonce impression, to the left. End zones to the left. But the PAT is no good, so it's still 7-6. T has the edge. It's 15-16 now. Spartan showing a little spark. Seth Hamilton, the Dylan Doran, nice grab. 34 yards in the Titan territory. Same drive, Hamilton, right down Broadway. That cuts the T lead to 15-13. But then the Titans would score the final 47 points of the ball game.
Yeah, they went for 41 alone in the second quarter. 41-point quarter. I mean, that's just crazy. And for Spearfish, coming off of last week's loss to Mitchell, they were focused coming into this game, but couldn't stop T in that second quarter.
Probably T's best win of the season overall when you consider the type of season they've had. We were looking for an outlier, like a big game on the ground like this from the Titans.
And now look who they have next week, their biggest rival, Pierre. They are as ready as they're going to be.
62-13, Titans over the Spartans tonight. Big matchup between a couple of one-loss teams, number 3 Hot Springs and Rapid City Christian. Jason Andero, why do we show opening kickoffs?
I never remember, Dave.
Well,
I
let us remind you here. Braden Peterson gets past some arm tackles and goes down the left sideline. 7-0 Hot Springs with a hot start.
Yeah, and you get special teams, touchdowns, you're favored. You're feeling pretty good, but Rapid City Christian kept this close. Give the Comets credit. They're making some strides.
Again, 7-0 Hot Springs there. Colin Iverson went deep. And guess who? Braden Peterson. Nice 40-yard grab there. It's a good drive. They would have to settle, however, for a field goal. That's coming up right here, and that would make the game 10-0 Hot Springs. But like you said, Rapid City Christian came back, showed some fight. Check out this nice screen to Wes Schlebach.
Yeah, Schlebach, a good playmaker. You saw Braylon Marshall making some big plays for them. Their quarterback, Kiefer, has a lot of different places he can distribute the ball.
But Hot Springs would make a stop. Colin Iverson, the interception. It's the big return to keep the shutout going. And this would kind of be a theme. Both teams like to throw it through the air, but both defenses were kind of up to the task tonight, Jandy.
We knew that Hot Springs came in with a physical defense. Rapid City Christian, 3 shutouts in a row coming into this game. They are probably a little underrated, and you see what they can do right there.
Yeah, the Comets got a pick from Daniel Jacobs there to end the first half. So it's just 10-0. We're in the third quarter now, and the defense continues to shine as we get another tip and another interception by Iverson. And then Hot Springs decides, you know what, enough of this passing game. It has not worked. Let's just keep it on the ground with Cameron Majeski.
Yeah, and Cameron Majeski, just an absolute bull. I've been impressed by the way he runs the football, and you can only take him for so long before he's going to break through. 2 rushing touchdowns for Majeski tonight. 23-13
Hot Springs. This is a team we said to look out for because of how, remember that one loss is to Del Rapids in the final seconds.
Closest
Number
game of the year
1
for
Del Rapids in 11A. So Hot Springs, a team to keep an eye on down the stretch with a good win tonight on the road against a fellow good team in Rapid City Christian. Good matchup at 11B with Elk Point Jefferson, number 4, traveling to Tri-Valley. Mustangs come storming out of the chute, sweeping left with Bobby Dibvig. He finds all kinds of room to roam. 51 yards, 7-0 Mustangs.
Yeah, this guy's just a sophomore, and Dive Big has had a few big games so far this year. he's going to be a tough one to bring down in the next couple seasons.
And they would add to that lead in the second quarter. Eli McFarland says, I'll see that, and I'll raise you this. 67 yards. Tri-Valley's up 14-0 at halftime.
This is the type of game that Tri-Valley wanted to get into. But I'll tell you what, Elk Point Jefferson, they've really shown some resolve.
It was ludicrous. Game got switched at halftime. Great play fake. Garrett Merkley, 75 yards. That gets Elk Point Jefferson on the board, 14-8 after the 2-point conversion.
Typical 11B shootout here, and I mean that sarcastically.
Next possession, visitors hit pay dirt again. Little power from Gunnar Ewing. They tack on the 2 as well. Huskies have their first lead of the night at 16-14, and they would polish it off from there. Jacob Gale icing it late. Nice touchdown up the middle. Elk Point Jefferson, 24 unanswered points in the second half, and that's a good road win. 24-14 for the Huskies. Again, the defending state champion Huskies, maybe not necessarily, quote, a little down this year, but maybe a little bit under the radar right now. And we've talked about how good Tri-Valley is, even though they're unranked. Their strength of schedule is just absolutely bananas. Unfortunately for the Mustangs, they couldn't hold that halftime lead.
Yeah, this is a game, again, you'd like to get the victory. You're glad you can play tough with a good team. But Elk Point Jefferson found a way to get it done. We caught up with the Huskies after the game.
We've seen that a few times this year, starting off slow in the first half, knowing that we got to come out in the second half. But I don't know, it's not really our game plan going into it, but I think it sure does motivate us at halftime, knowing that we got some ground to make up. So we don't mind doing that too much. But yeah, it's nice to get a quick start like that and be able to make a comeback.
And yeah, the comeback on the road, being down double digits in the second half, you know that halftime speech from Jake Terry had to be something.
It's a shot in the arm for a team that just gives them the confidence they'll need in a very tough 11B field here in a couple weeks.
And again, that 11B field is so big just because it's the biggest class in South Dakota. You know you're going to start the playoffs a week early, but Elk Point Jefferson, again, they're number 4 right now. They only have one loss on the season. I mean, there's teams that are kind of lurking, and you never quite know when it gets down the stretch, but a good win for the Huskies tonight in Colton, South Dakota. More action, 9-man, top 5 showdown in 9B. Number 2 DeSmit, number 4 Hitchcock-Flair. Caden Fast takes the shovel, and watch the number of defenders he eludes, stays on his feet, turns on the Jets. He wears 24 like Marshawn Lynch. His own Beastquake, 6-0.
That's incredible. Caden Fast, he's a guy they like to use out of the backfield. They line him up at receiver sometimes. He's all over the field, and that time shows what he can do with the ball.
And then Britt Carlson off his back foot. Tom Onbaugh for a key third down conversion. And then on the very next play, Carlson is going to keep it himself, and they would add the 2-pointer as well. So it's 14-0 to Smith after that score from Carlson. Move to the second now. And Carlson, check out this blocking. Check out all the time that he has in this pocket. Just an easy pitch and catch to Onbaugh for the touchdown. 20-0 at that point. And we discussed at the top of the show, a big road win for DeSmit. 46-0 over Hitchcock-Delaire. We talked about Fulton's kind of in the consensus number 1 in 9B for a while, but DeSmit showing some moxie on the road.
Yeah, DeSmit, their quarterback, Britt Carlson, really gained some confidence throughout this year. Last year had one of the best games he's had in his career since transferring over to DeSmet. But tonight, putting up another 6-touchdown performance against a ranked team. DeSmet is going to be a team to be reckoned with in 9B.
Absolutely. And Fulton idle this week, so we'll get a chance to see what they're like next week. But again, DeSmet, a big road win tonight at Hitchcock-Tulare. Big games all over the place. And when we come back, we will head up to North Dakota. Some big showdowns, especially in AAA up north. Jody Nordstrom will have your highlights when we return on Varsity Sports Live.
Varsity Sports Live, presented by Farmers Union Insurance. Simply different. Varsity Sports Live, presented by South Dakota State University. Build a better future with South Dakota State University.
And welcome back to VSL. David Brown, Jason and Darrell. Let's go through the North Dakota scoreboard. Ironically, both AAAs in North and South Dakota had 1 versus 5 matchups, and Fargo-Shanley defeats Fargo-Davies 42-28. This was a tie game at halftime. Minot defeats Bismarck in a final on Thursday. Good top 5 matchup there. Was Fargo-Cheyenne 33-18 over West Fargo. Bismarck Century over Bismarck Legacy 41-13. Mandan over number 3 Dickinson in a cross-class matchup, 35-7. Fargo South survives against St. Mary's, 30-26. In AA, 40-28, Fargo North stays at number 1 over Devils Lake. That game was pretty competitive at halftime. Grand Forks Red River, 25-7 over West Fargo Horace. Grand Forks Central, 41-21 over Wahpeton. Jamestown with a 33-14 victory over the Highliners from Valley City. In 11A, Kindred, no problem with Mayport CG, 40-0. Central Cass gets the win, 34-7. Oaks over Lisbon, 18-6. Tommies, they manage a safety, but they still fall 40-2 to Langdon area Edmore. Munich, Cavalier 26-14 over Harvey Wells County. 20 unanswered from the Tornadoes, by the way, in that one. Velva 40-12 over Bishop Ryan. 51-6 South Border over Kidder County. North Prairie doubles up Nelson County 40-20. North Star 54-36 and 46-19 Lemoore Litchfield Marion over Maple River. And now we bring in the lovely Jody Norstead in West Fargo. Sans Carson Zark this week. He can go by it solo. We always know we can trust Jody with these highlights, but we joked about it in both South Dakota and North Dakota AAA, a 1 versus 5 matchup. But Shanley and Davies, that was a great game. It was a tie game in the first half, and then Shanley proving why they're number 1 in the second half.
Yeah, Davies doing a good job of just kind of controlling things. Time of possession is something that, Shanley just works so quickly. You don't get a lot of opportunities all the time. If you turn the ball over, you're kind of shooting yourselves in the foot even tenfold against the Shanley team. But they hung in there. Deacons end up pulling out the W. That's why their helmet is on the set tonight. And shout out to Jamestown. The Blue Jays retain the iron helmet with their win over Valley City, as you mentioned, 33-14. Nate Walls in that game, 3 touchdown catches and a pick 6. A touchdown catch and a pick 6. 2 of those scores coming in like the final minute of the game. So Jamestown gets a big win after getting beat up by Valley City last year. Of course, they went on to win the state championship, got the last laugh of that one. But here's one for you. 2 weeks from tomorrow, we'll have playoff football, 9-man in Class A. And remember, 9-man, instead of 24, just going to have 16 teams this year. So no first-round buys for those seeded teams. So something to keep an eye on. But lots of shuffling still to happen in 3A and 2A, and we kind of figure some of that out tonight and last night. There was a big game between Bismarck and Minot. But let's start with that Shanley-Davies showdown that you mentioned. The 25th Street rivalry. There's a trophy on the line when these two teams meet. Deacons with 2 straight wins in the series. Another would make them 1 step closer to earning that number 1 seed in the playoffs. Second play of the game, Landon Meyer to Sam Oshek. 80 yards down the sideline. Oh boy, they're speedy, aren't they? 6-0 Shanley. On their next drive, Meyer decides to take it himself this time. A little physicality on the run makes it 14-0 5 minutes into the game. Davies gets a drive going here. That's Wayne Weirmeyer saying, hey, let's do this and that. And then Gage Brewer, why don't you sneak it in for the first score of the night for the Eagles, 14-7. Early second, Shanley does the same thing. Boy, everyone wants to be Jalen Hurts in the tush-push style. 21-7 Shanley. But on the next drive, Zach Lilly gets the handoff, takes it 31 yards. Eagles within 7. He had a great night. He's had a great year. 4 minutes left in the half. Eagles pound the rock. Lilly into the end zone again. We are knotted at 21s at halftime. Eagles get the ball to start the second, go on an 8-minute opening drive, capped off by who else? Lilly, the leading rusher in the EDC. The rich get richer. The senior manages to stay on his feet, and he's in. And then 2 plays later, Meyer finds Oshek again, who manages to find his way into the end zone. We're tied at 28. This game was nuts. Fourth quarter, tied up. Wayne Weirmeyer calling his team over. Meyer goes back to old reliable, and Oshek makes a great over-the-shoulder grab. 35-28, Shanley leads. Then with a minute left, Deacons put it away. Meyer over to Isaac Perkarevich. Shanley wins this one 42-28. What an atmosphere between those two teams, but the Deacons remain undefeated despite the threat from the Eagles. Here's Landon Meyer afterwards.
I mean, we're playing great football, and teams are starting to figure out what they got to do to beat us, but it hasn't happened yet, and we're just going to go out there, bring the same game plan every week, and we just take it week by week. We don't really look at it being 7-0. We look at every Monday we're being 0-0, and just go out there and win the week.
Boy, another 5-touchdown night for Meyer. We settled the argument of best in the West with a Thursday night showdown. Third-ranked Minot coming off their first loss of the season at Cheyenne, visiting fourth-ranked Bismarck. Demons score on the opening drive. Preston Lamar, a little end around. Former BHS great Jack Steckler says that looks familiar. He scored on a bunch of those. Lamar does it here despite losing the ball across the goal line. Magi respond, hat on a hat, run in this one. Griffin Broderick rudely introduces himself to the second level. 25-yard touchdown run. BHS still up 7-6 after the failed kick. Second quarter, 4th and goal from the 16. Quinn Hafter to Lamar. Great catch. 2 touchdowns in the first half for Lamar. Demons up 9, but Minot answers on a 4th down of their own. 4th and short. Tyson Ruziska says goodbye. Scoots to the end zone. 20-yard touchdown. 15-13 at half. They are within that at the half. Bismarck on the move in the third. Here's a convoy in front of Griffin Broderick after the interception. He returns it for the touchdown, and Minot has its first lead, 19-15. Same score in the fourth, Minot at midfield, but that's going to change in a hurry. Ruziska, massive hole up the middle, all speed here. Massive day for the senior. He rushes for over 230 and a couple of scores. This one makes it 26-15 with 4.5 to play. Bismarck needs just 90 seconds to answer. Carter Henke sneaks his way in. 13th touchdown of the year. Boy, has he been good. Lead trimmed to 3. They force Minot into a 3rd and 6. A stop when they get the ball back, but Ruziska on the draw gets the first down and puts this game out of reach. A statement run here of 52 yards. The Magi are in the driver's seat out west with a 26-23 win. They're in great position to host their first playoff game in, get this, 7 years. Here's what Ruziska had to say about his team's response after falling behind early.
While we were behind, it felt like the momentum was always on our side. I mean, our guys were fired up the whole game, and we were just firing off the ball every play and making big stops and making big plays. It's my old line. They're making the big plays. Early in the game, their big defensive line, they got big defense, strong defense. They're pushing us. Towards the end, our guys, they stepped it up, and they did great.
To the battle for West Fargo, the Ogre on the line. It's been in Cheyenne's possession since 2017. West Fargo hoping to pull the upset and win that beautiful thing. Mustangs face him 4th down on their first drive. Caden Olson back to pass. He's got his running back wide open. That's Barry Pennu. Gets the first down, few extra yards. He'd punch it in a couple plays later, make it 7-0. Still 7-0 midway through the first. It's 4th down again for Cheyenne. They go back to the air. This time Olson launches it down the sideline. Cooper Bryant goes up to get it. You got Caleb Deere, Noah Olson. You throw in Cooper Bryant in there once in a while. A lot of weapons at the disposal there. Mustangs moving the chains. Punch it in here. Olson calling his own number, finds the painted turf. The Mustangs with an early 14-0 lead. Cheyenne wins it tonight, 33-18 for their 8th straight win in the series. Cheyenne got that big win last week against Minot. They get the win against West Fargo. Now they get a chance to really stack them up when they host Bismarck next week. That Demons team, of course, will be a little ticked off after losing to Minot on Thursday night. Well, we had a cross-class matchup at Mandan as Class AA's 3rd-ranked Dickinson made the trip over. Mandan marching, Hudson Sheldon read option, keeps and scores. Braves take a 7-0 lead after the kick. Second quarter, Mandan forcing the punt. Tristan Ulmer breaking through and getting the block. Braves get great field position in those sweet camo jerseys. I feel like Ulmer's made a lot of plays the last couple of weeks. A few plays later, Sheldon with time. He's going to go for it all, and check out this grab by Rustin Medenwald. Might have an extra credit contender there. A little You Got Mossed flavor to it. Braves in front 13-zip. Best drive of the night here for Dickinson, but it's 4th and long. Steven Zawadney puts it up for Caden Krieg. A little hesitation. 17-yard touchdown. Midgets hung tough for a while, but the Braves do pull away in the end for the 35-7 victory. They get back over 500 and set up a date with, number 1 Shanley next week at the Deacon's house. After a 4-0 start, Red River's season has been turned upside down with 3 straight losses. Horace, meanwhile, has been red hot with 3 wins over their last 4. Opening drive for the Hawks, it's Tyler Garay who takes the direct snap, gets a good gain of about 20 here along the sideline. Garay trying to stay in bounds, get a couple extra yards. A few plays later, Garay hands it off to Charlie Lashovsky, who makes a few Rough Riders miss here, makes his way into the end zone. Remember, he had a big week last week with 3 interceptions. makes it 7-0 Horace here just 2 minutes in. Later, Rough Riders going for it on a 4th down. Pierce Parks gets it to Caden Mackey, who is met by Lashowski. What a hit. Forces a turnover on downs. Red River's offense couldn't get going early, so their defense helped out. A Taylor Stefanovic pass gets intercepted by Tommy Kraft, who takes it to the house. That was the score after 7-7. The Hawks made it tough for a while, but the Rough Riders stopped their 3-game losing streak with a 25-7 victory. They get a late season bye next week. Maybe they get rested up, a little healed up, work some kinks out, and Red River, who knows what they'll be able to do in the postseason. Remember, they reached the semifinals last year against the team that Horace will meet next week. They'll be at 2-time defending state champ Jamestown. Well, let's check in with the defending Class A state champs from Velvet Drake and Moose Garrison. Aggies putting their 20-game win streak on the line against Bishop Ryan in the Penny Trophy game. Here's Jet Lundeen, boys. He been fun to watch. 50-yard touchdown here. Remember, won a game ball a couple of weeks ago. Bishop Ryan up 6-0 against these Aggies, but not so fast. Hank Bodine, oh, what a night for Hank. He wasn't messing around. He gets a big 14-yard touchdown run here, ties the game up, and then a fumble here by Jet Lundeen. They get the hat right on the ball. I don't know, his knee might have been down, but anyways, Matt Jokum recovers the fumble, and it's going to lead to more points, more Bodine. Look at the holes he's running through up the middle, and that's no slouch of a defensive line for Bishop Ryan. They have a future Bison up there in Okeson, and another touchdown run by Bodine. They're up 20-6. I might as well just say he's up. He's scoring all the touchdowns in this one. Matt Wheeler likes seeing that Hank Bodine highlight. You haven't seen enough of them. That is 3 3-yard touchdowns in a row that you just saw right here on Varsity Sports Live. That made it 34-6. They closed it over with a 40-12 win. Bodine. A 6-pack of rushing touchdowns, and the top-ranked Aggies continue to remain unbeaten. They hold on to that Penny Trophy too. Bodine said he was licking his chops all night in this matchup.
I knew when they ran a 3-man front, we were going to run the ball a good amount today, so I was really mentally ready for that coming into the game, and I knew O-line was going to do a good job, and that's what they did today. It's always good to keep it home. Got a place when it's not here, there's an empty spot in the trophy case, so we got to keep that spot filled.
Well, from 2018 to 2020, Langdon Edmore Munich rattled off 3 straight perfect seasons. After 2 years of taking half a step back, they might be on their way back to that. The Cardinals trying to move to 8-0, visiting Thompson. Mason Rumfo, the senior, takes a handoff up the middle, gets a huge gain on the road. A few plays later, Race Worley, the QB, finds Rumfo in the end zone, gives Langdon the early 7-0 lead. Man, everyone in the state has to just be thinking it. When are they going to get rid of those Rumfos up there? Josh Gravarch's team rode along just fine, but here's an interesting play. Worley called for intentional grounding in the end zone, so it's a safety for Brady Schwab's squad. So they're down 7-2. Thompson's offense couldn't move the ball after the safety. Langdon ball again. Worley to Nick Kingset, who makes a nice catch on the sideline. And then after a big game by Rumfo, he lines up at quarterback here and scores on the direct snap. 14-2 Cards. Quick 3-and-out from the Tommies, giving the ball right back to this dangerous offense. Worley to Kingset. Blockers in front of them. This time they connect on that screen pass. That's good for a big chunk of change. A few plays later, Rumfo. It's like Rumfo, Bodine. Who do you want to see more highlights from? Rumfo this time as he finds his way in from a yard out. Langdon Edmore Munich. They had it in cruise control tonight on the road for a 40-2 victory. Don't look now, but the Cardinals are looking really tough. And we get an all-Cardinals matchup next week as they play at Carrington to try to seal up probably a top seed in the Class A playoffs. Well, this one's always a good rivalry. Oaks taking on Lisbon, both with 4-2 records. The winner almost certainly secures a playoff spot. Second quarter, Blason Dolney drops it to Mario Garza on the screen, and watch Mario turn into Super Mario. Dun, 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 dun. Up the sideline he goes. Oaks takes the opening lead of the game with the touchdown. Same score all the way to the fourth quarter now. Dolney gonna roll out and in a tight spot finds Trey Skoglund in the end zone. With 6 minutes left, the Tornadoes take a 12-zip lead. Broncos need a quick strike somehow, and they get one. Wide Olsen looking deep for Cameron Opp, and they connect on it. It's a 55-yard score as the defender gets tangled up. That cuts the lead in half. Oaks, though, gets the ball back, just trying to hope to salt the game away. Dolney plays Houdini here in the backfield. Lisbon thinks that they have him. He eludes the sack, completes it to Max Wallach, and then everything else in slow motion. But Max and the Tornadoes go on to win this one 18-6. Oaks spinning their way to a victory tonight and now a 5-2 record. That was a key matchup in that region. Well, Harvey-Wells County and Cavalier, winner locks up a playoff spot in Region 2. Tornadoes have made the postseason all but once since '91. A little tougher going from 9-man to 11-man this year. Hornets put up an efficient drive right away, led by Cale Sieg. Bounces to the outside, cashes in from 10 yards out. Hornets up 7-0. Cavalier marches down the field right after that, but Harvey forces a 4th and goal, but Brecken Thorpe finds J.J. Thorpe in the end zone for a 6-yard score. Makes it 7-6. Hornets still in front. Now, Harvey-Wells County facing a 4th and 17, and it's Talon Thorson checking one deep to Keaton Keller, and he comes down with it. What a grab. High point that ball. That sets up another touchdown by Sieg, makes it 14-6. Cavalier trying to answer before the half. Thorpe hands it off to Mason Carter, and Mason bouncing off a couple of guys. Stiff arm. Oh, love the pink underneath, too. Nice run there. Hornets now looking to add to their lead after they get the stop. And Thorson flushed out of the pocket by Caden Rose. Throws, and it's picked off by Brecken Thorpe. Boy, he was a playmaker all night. That's quarterback to quarterback. 14-6 Harvey-Wells County at the half. But that interception sparked the Tornadoes in the second half. How about Thorpe's night? He ends up with 2 rushing TDs, passes for another, had 3 interceptions on defense, including a pick 6, scored all 4 touchdowns as Cavalier comes back to win it 26-14, 20 unanswered points. So the Tornadoes clinch a playoff spot, and with Thompson's loss tonight, Harvey-Wells County gets in as the 4 seed because they own the tiebreaker with the Tommies. So kind of good news for both those teams. Harvey-Wells County plays at Central Cass next week. Lemoore Litchfield Marion trying to keep pace with Wyndmere Lidgerwood for the 2 seed in Region 1 and 9-man, but visiting a Maple River team that's coming on strong with 4 straight wins and playing for their playoff lives. Very first play from scrimmage. Gunnar Thielges takes the handoff, and if you watch my weekly top performers, you know that good things happen when he touches the ball. 62 yards up the middle for the touchdown. Lobos get a stop on defense. They give it right back to Thielges. If you can't stop it, they're not going to stop doing it. Number 4 continues his unbelievable season, 41 yards to the house. Now Lemoore threatening again when the Raiders force a turnover. T. Silling with the pressure, and it leads to Carter Bosch jumping the route, making the interception at the goal line. Middle of the second now, Maple River trailing 20-0 when they break through. Bosch going to take the option pitch from Silling, and he's going to turn on the Jets. The kid has great speed, 21-yard touchdown, and the home team is on the board. Raiders get a stop and have another chance to score, but the turnover bug bites. Silling scrambles, throws off the fingertips of his receiver. How about that diving pick by Max Muslin? Leads to more Lobo points. Thielges can throw, too. This time he goes to Muslin. 6'5 frame. Yeah, it has its advantages, doesn't it? He gets the pick, and later the points, as you see. It was all Lobos tonight. They roll to the 46-19 victory. Lemoore Litchfield Marion, their 2 losses to Sargent County and North Prairie. Sargent County ranked number 1 right now. North Prairie was ranked number 1 earlier in the season. They are a battle-tested bunch, and they get Wyndmere Lidgerwood in a big one next week. Could we get more clarity on the playoff picture in Region 2? North Star and 4 wins entering last night's game, and a 3-way tie for 3rd. UND commit Dang Dang has been a touchdown machine the last few weeks, and on the first play from scrimmage, he sprints through a hole and can wave goodbye to the defense. 62 yards to the end zone goes Dang Dang. 4 wins, trailing by 4 now. On a 3rd and long, they move Dang to receiver, and you can just throw him a jump ball and he'll go get it. Richie Kavanaugh does just that. Dang walks into the end zone. He had 2 scores like that. Just under 2 minutes left before half. Dane Hagler drops this one in the back corner where Garrett Westland makes a terrific sliding catch. 32-28 North Star. Indians answer in the final seconds of the half. On a 4th and 9, Dalen Leftbear over the middle for the score. Home team has a 36-32 lead at the break. Conditions get sloppy in half 2. 4 wins had turnovers, and North Star converted a number of these. Onside kicks, they attempted those all night. They score off this successful attempt. On a 3rd and goal, Simon takes the handoff, just throws off a defender and sprints to the end zone. North Star shuts out 4 wins in half 2 and wins it 54-36. Nelson County, I believe, lost to North Prairie tonight, so North Star takes over sole possession of the 3 seed with 1 week remaining in that region. Well, we will step aside. We got zone coverage coming up next. We're going to hear from some of the coaches around the area, North and South Dakota. Stick right here on Varsity Sports Live.
Varsity Sports Live, presented by Farmers Union Insurance. Simply different.
Welcome back to Varsity Sports Live. A good smattering of helmets. Congrats, Lingden and more Munich winners tonight. We have Oaks winning tonight, Cheyenne, Lemoore, Litchfield, Marion. And how about these Deacons? Still unbeaten. They got probably their stiffest test of the year tonight against Davies, of course, the team that just plays about a mile down the road, if that. The Eagles put up a fight. It was 28-28 for a time, and then Shanley pulls away 42-28. Landon Meyer continues to impress, 5 touchdowns in this one. Shanley knows that they're gonna need to find different ways to beat teams, especially when the weather starts turning. It was cold, it was windy tonight, but Troy Mattern's group gets it done. Here's what the head coach had to say afterwards.
That's a rival game at its finest. You know, two schools that are a mile apart. It showed up tonight. You know, credit to Davies. Their game plan was phenomenal. They kept our offense off the field. We were down in the second half, which hasn't happened all season. So for our kids to come back and did what they do, and again to get that stop late in the fourth quarter was huge. And then obviously putting the ball in Landon Meyer's hand to make some plays late in the game was huge to the win.
Yeah, Troy Mattern's team still undefeated, looking like the favorite to repeat as state champs. And they're kind of humming along right now. How about that Minot team that won last night? They beat Bismarck. 2 physical teams. Both have great offensive lines. They've been running the ball well. Carter Henke for Bismarck. And then Minot, that 2-headed monster of Griffin Broderick and Tyson Ruziska. Ruziska had 230 yards and a couple of touchdowns. Broderick scored on both sides of the football. Chauncey Hendershot really likes the way his group is playing football right now.
We have a tremendous amount of respect for Bismarck High and how they play football year in, year out. This is a litmus test for how physical can our program be. And so, you know, with this game, taking that and then, we got some work to do. Got to get back to work and finish those drives, put everything together and make sure down the stretch here we're playing our best football.
So Minot will play Williston next week, and a good bounce-back win as well for the Magi. After losing to Cheyenne on the road last week, Chauncey Hendershot's team comes and delivers in a big spot and kind of claims stake that they're going to be the top team in the West and hosting a playoff game perhaps. I think they have that pretty much locked up here with a couple of weeks to go. Velva Drake Anamoose Garrison keeps on rolling. They've won 20 in a row now, I believe. Matt Wheeler changing the head coach from Larry Sandy to Matt Wheeler. And this train just keeps on rolling. And head coach Matt Wheeler spoke with us after the 40-12 win tonight over Bishop Ryan.
I thought our offensive line did a heck of a job. There's a big front. They got a very good sized front. They're very good. I thought our guys matched their physicality. Sometimes those holes aren't going to be as big as you'd like, but I thought that they fitted pretty well. And Hank runs hard, and he was finishing his runs tonight, which was good to see.
So, guys, we hear from the Aggies and the Deacons in zone coverage tonight. 2 teams that we might hear from come the Dakota Bowl day as well.
All right, sounds good. Thank you very much, Jody Norstead up in West Fargo. Well, the big story down here in South Dakota tonight, Lincoln continues to dominate.
They were dominant, and their head coach, Jared Fredenberg, was pleased not only with the stars, but with the offensive line.
This week I was talking to you and about they were looking forward to this game. They want these games. And so I tell you what, man, we got some players that can play. And I think kind of what gets lost, I want to say this before, I forget our offensive line is pretty good. And I tell you what, it's Jack and Tate and Isaac and those guys and Draven. But our offensive line really did the job for us tonight too.
Yeah, that line obviously gets a little overshadowed by all the playmakers, but still another dominant win for the Pats tonight. Elk Point Jefferson, double-digit comeback at Tri-Valley this evening. We joked about what Jake Terry said at halftime. Here's what he said after the game.
We came out a little slow, but kids responded well. Settled them down, gave a couple big plays in the first half, and really kind of just settled down, play our game, and worry about what we're going to do as opposed to so much what they're going to do, and play more fundamentally sound. We got out of position a few times in the first half, and Coach Hocking did a nice job, a couple different adjustments there, and really did a nice job that second half. Kids played well. Kids played real well. Credit to them.
The champs. Get it
Final
done.
thoughts when we come back. Varsity Sports Live, coming back shortly on Midco SN.
Varsity Sports Live, presented by South Dakota State University. Build a better future with South Dakota State University.
We got college football for you tomorrow. North Dakota at 1, South Dakota at 2, South Dakota State at 6. You can see them all right here on Midco Sports. For Jody and Jandy, I'm Brownie. We'll see you next week on VSL.